Mute my phone here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. We are back from a interesting weekend. So I hope everyone was able to stay safe and healthy and deal with the situations going on in their various communities. We're going to get focused on what we focused on every Monday morning, which is business. And so first, I want to tell you a little bit about us. I am Viara Small. I'm the founder and CEO for the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center. It is a national initiative that we've launched in Southern Dallas to help women veteran-owned businesses scale for success. And if you want to know more about our organization, visit us at veteranwomensec.org. That's veteranwomensec.org. Now, Monday morning message is something that we do every Monday morning. It is our COVID-19 political update. But as we transition, we're looking at more ways that we can help our businesses. And so today's title is Powerfully Pivot and Position Your Business for Success. And if you have not already begun to pivot and position your business, you will not want to miss this session. Also, catch us every Thursday for Trending Thursday Tips. This Thursday, we'll have Ebony Todd and her partner speaking about minimizing liability. And I know many of you are getting ready to get your business open. So how do you open effectively? How do you make sure you've covered all of the requirements, that you've educated your staff appropriately, that you let your customers know what the expectations are? So we are going to have a very interactive conversation on Thursday about minimizing liability, and you will not want to miss us next week, because we will be talking to a very special guest from the National Women's Business Council about the direction of women-owned business in our nation. So thank you again for joining us for the Monday morning message. Now I want to get started because June 12th is Women's Veterans Day. And here in the state of Texas, we are going to be promoting a women veteran pitch competition. Now, I want you to understand, this is not just about business owners. If you are a female veteran, maybe you have a great concept and you've been sitting on it. We want you to get in the game. We know our women veterans have some amazing ideas, that you are driving economics in your communities and on our nation, and we want to highlight what you're doing. So whether you just have a great concept or you have a multi-million-dollar business, we want to highlight you on Women's Veterans Day. So make sure you check out our website and sign up to pitch. Your business is important, and we want to highlight you. Women's Veterans Day in Texas is all about educating, validating, and commemorating women who have and are serving in our military. And we are excited to partner with Bunker Labs, which recently opened up a Dallas, a DFW component. So this is great that we're going to be supporting. Now, ladies.
Awesome.
You know how we like to brag. So
Yes.
every branch thinks they have the best person. So the winner from this pitch competition will get bragging rights for their branch, but also because it's statewide, you will get bragging rights for your city, destination, where your business is. So we want you to know that you can get in the game, but beyond bragging rights, there's $1,000 cash for you for the first prize winner and $250 audience award. All of this is sponsored by our partners at American First National Bank, who believe and women veteran and the success of your businesses. So we want you to get excited about this. Please share this
Awesome.
word with your colleagues.
Yeah.
And one of our guests today is going to be one of our distinguished judges. So now is the time to hear how she's thinking, what she's expecting of businesses. You can make
Get
sure you
ready.
bring your A game to the table. So ladies, I don't want to delay our conversation. I want to get right into this. We're talking about powerfully pivoting and positioning your business for success. And I've had a number of business owners reach out to me and talk about what that is. And there are no better two female veterans to talk about this than the ladies that we have today. Michelle, Air Force, retired colonel, no joke. All right, we got a Marine at the table, Laurie, Marine, I'm Navy, and both Michelle and I are Army brats, so we have everything covered for the Coast Guard. We got you guys, don't worry about it. We're
Representing in the house.
and we're representing. Now, Michelle, I know that you understand what it means to pivot business. I had a chance to read your bio. I hope everybody else online had a chance to go and look at your bio. And one of the things that was really exciting was a time that you spent with the Army Air Force military exchange. You did some phenomenal work there. That is a business.
Yes,
and
it
for
is.
2 years straight, you had the leading organization in the world. Let's talk to us a little bit about how you pivoted or positioned that particular organization to take the lead and to set some standards. And then we could talk a little bit more about how small businesses need to look at themselves the same way and figure out, how do we pivot? How do we make sure that we are competitively positioned?
Yes, thank you so much, VR, for your passion and advocacy for women veteran businesses. Laurie, got much love for you, girl. We'll talk more about that later. But welcome, ladies. And I want to tell you, I count myself extremely blessed to have had a great career and been in a profit loss business, which is giving me a passion for women veteran entrepreneurship. Pivoting and positioning is extremely important. Positioning is not just about strategy, but it's also about relationships and connections. And pivoting is an ever-changing thing. And I think as military women, we have been prepared already just by being in the military, because going to war, managing chaos and crisis is always about pivoting. It's about leveraging what you have based on where you are and where you're going and what you got to work with. So with that, I'm going to leave it there and we'll talk some more.
So, Laurie, you have an amazing history behind you. Almost 11 years now, you have been running your business. I believe last year you were the Entrepreneur of the Year in Maryland. That is super exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But also you are identified as a compassionate veteran-owned business based on a lot of the advocacy that you do. And I know that one of the things about pivoting is understanding your market, really understanding the environment that you work in. So talk a little bit about why it's important to be at those tables and to make sure that the decision makers understand what we need and where we're going in order for us to truly be successful.
Well, thank you for that. It is an honor to be here, to be invited to participate, because this is something that is very serious to me, because I actually was told by my mentor, Laura, you need to get on the committee. I said, okay. So I signed up for Vet Force, and lo and behold, they elected me as an officer. I'm like, wait a minute, I ain't asked for no job. I just want to be on the committee. And then, I happened to get the title of the secretary. Now I had to go into that whole thing. Okay, why as a woman do I got to be the secretary? So of course, all the Vietnam veterans at the table, I thought that was funny. And I'm like, I'm having a real conversation right now. But nevertheless, it has been a blessing, because my learning curve in general about the policies and the issues that we deal with as veterans in business came to the forefront. And as the secretary, what I got to do is pay attention to everything being said, because I got to take notes and make minutes. So I couldn't pick up my phone and lollygag around like everybody else at the table. So it really increased my learning curve significantly. Long before Civility even had any real profit, I was sitting at the table. And
Laurie, tell them a little bit about what Vet Force is, because a lot of our attendees may not know. What
Yes,
is VetForce?
VetForce is a nonprofit entity that fights really and have been fighting for veteran-owned businesses to have access to government contracting. The reason why the 3% is in today, VetForce, along with some other nonprofits, were very involved with talking on the Hill and to appropriate SES leaders within the federal government, specifically.
Laurie, are you playing with your sound? We lost you. Laurie?
Laurie, did we lose you?
Go
Unmute.
ahead.
Yeah, but it says the host muted me. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, I'm back though. But nonetheless, they fought. And so today we do have the 3%, and a lot of that had to do with VetForce and other nonprofits. And so consistently every month, they actually have training sessions. We go inside of different government agencies or even places like the Veterans Affairs, as well as other VSOs, Veteran Service Organizations, in order to talk about what we have as issues and to get information from people. So it's a real force and predominantly by Vietnam veterans. And so myself, I'm the only African-American woman that's an officer. We also have another woman on the committee as well. And we're looking for people that are younger and vibrant that have gotten into business that are interested in this advocacy piece. So thanks for asking about that specifically. But my real role in the end has been representation of women that are veterans, because in many cases at this table, I am the only one at the table. So I do get to remind them that we are women veterans that are just as strong in this game with them in the fight to make sure that we get what we need.
Laurie, what are you seeing? Why, when we talk about business, are you seeing anything, or can you tell us why we're not seeing more veteran women-owned businesses at the table, at the government level? Is there something that they're not doing? Is it something that they need to do more of? Why aren't we seeing more women, not just at the table for advocacy, but at the table doing business?
And actually, it's growing. So I got to give credit to that. It is growing. And right now, actually, I have a couple of ladies that I'm speaking to that have come to me and asked me to lead a Women Veterans Business Coalition. And I would hope probably within the next 90 days that there's going to be an announcement about that. And it's catered to them, making certain that we have a voice on the Hill, because thank goodness the staffers on the Hill are interested in knowing what's going on with women veteran business owners. What are their pain points? What are their matters? And the added value of just not only that, sure enough, they got women, they got veterans. We are a subset of both of those categories, right?
Yes.
So we can really qualify in every lane, but we do still have our own real deal issues. And I love the fact that they're interested in adding a social impact of that. Like what's going on with you guys with the VA, with your benefits, with your hospitalizations, with your treatments. And so I'm really excited about saying that they're going to try to really poke out 3 to 4 different things to be a voice, to help allow us, not just me, us, because I made that clear. I says, I don't mind being at the front of this, but I says, there's a lot of women that have a voice. We just have to let them know that we want to hear them.
Yes, yes, I agree. And if I can add to that, just a few statistics. There are 1.9 million veteran women, and VA has the largest growing demographic is identified as women. And so for those of you who don't know, the Department of Veteran Affairs is the only federal agency that by law must give a portion of its contracts to veterans. And that means not every veteran, but some veterans. And so it requires a certification through the VA, which is held in my office. And basically, after you get on that list and you prepare yourself, position yourself, you can be competitive for contracts. Well, the issue is that we have almost 14,000 veterans on that list are eligible, but less than 9% are women. So while VA is spending millions of dollars on building women's clinics in their major facilities, we need to help women who better to understand the issues of women and veterans, period, than women. So we need to get more women who are eligible and are positioning themselves for business with the VA and federal government. I want to reiterate that. That law only applies if you are trying to do business with the VA or federal government. If you are not doing business, if you're a coffee shop, a electrician, hairstylist, even you do coaching or massage and wellness. Unless the VA is buying that, and we don't buy a lot of that, that's not our major areas, then this is not for you. But I encourage everybody to go get that verification, because what it does is it tells states, cities, and corporations who want to do business with veterans that you are legit. And you have no idea how important that is. Yes. Because Laurie knows, and when I retired, I was in business for myself for a couple of years. Before coming to the VA, and still am. But people approach us all the time saying, hey, hey, I'll do all the work. You don't have to do nothing. Let me just give you some money. And then I'll run the business. Well, no. The three tenets of a legitimate veteran-owned business is, are you veteran or service-disabled veteran? Are you 51% owned? And the third one, which is the challenge, is, are you 100% controlled by a veteran? That means you're signing the checks, you're signing the leases, you're signing the contracts, and you're making all decisions. And so that verification is very important, because then corporations, cities, states, et cetera, know you are a legitimate veteran-owned business. And then comes the positioning of preparing yourself to be competitive for a business.
So, Michelle, let's just back up a little bit and let's talk a little bit about why there's only...
Did I go all in there?
No, that's perfect.
Did you lose me?
Nope, we got you.
Go ahead. Okay, let's go back and let's talk a little bit about why there is only 9% women. What are some of the complications that we're seeing when we start talking about being prepared? What are the things that you're finding with women that either they're not doing or they need to do so that they can be at the table? Because there's money at the table, but we're not there to get any of it. So how do we, we're the Veteran Enterprise Center. We say we help women find the resources they need to succeed. So what should we be doing along with those businesses to help them get to the table? Where's that missing link?
Well, there's a couple of missing links. I don't think anybody is against us. Let me just say that. But we are not for ourselves. We need to do some stuff. Okay. Several things. One, when most of us leave the military, what do? We go get a job. We don't go into business. And there's nothing wrong with getting a job, but the issue is, how do you go get that job? So when you go get a job, there are several ways you can position yourself, right? I'm on this campaign to tell women, here's what you can do. You can be a 1099 or independent contractor with an LLC and start your business that way. Then you can go work for people like Laurie and other service-disabled veterans businesses or small businesses, and you can learn the business, learn how it works before stepping out on your own, because this is not for the faint of heart. Yes, see, ma'am. As a veteran, we may be technically capable, but the technology and the intellectual capital that we have, we were successful as a team, but we did not lead that particular business. We didn't have to be responsible for the profit, the loss, the hiring, the firing.
That's good stuff.
You got it. They ain't going nowhere unless you give them an Article 15 or the PCS or go to another duty station.
That's right.
So my point is that if you enter entrepreneurship, especially if you're trying to go into the federal government, right? As an independent contractor, you learn, because you got to pay your own taxes. You got to take care of your own benefits. You got to save. Oh, by the way, you have an opportunity because you're on the inside. So if it's something that needs to be improved, instead of giving that intellectual capital away free, you can go, hey, I got a solution and here's my price. add to my contract. You see what I'm saying? So you have an opportunity to build inside of a business before launching. The second thing is we don't know how to get there. And that's one thing I will tell you, the Women Veteran Business Initiative at VA, and I say initiative, people say, I heard you guys have a program. No, we are trying to get this thing going. And we did a test pilot of group, and Laurie was one of those ladies that was in that group last year. And we're going to take it to the next level. July 28th, we're going to do a summit. And you'll hear more about that in probably the coming weeks. But the reality is we don't know how to get there. We're so busy taking care of families, taking care of our husbands, and that we don't necessarily know how to get there. So we're going to try to map a roadmap to help you get there. And for you to decide, is federal government contracting even for you? Because if it's not, it's okay. But there's still a whole lot of people make a whole lot of money not working for the federal government. And with the federal government, Laurie can tell you, comes some stuff.
Yeah.
Risk, you got to have capital. They want you to have bonding because if you fail, the mission still has to be done. So there's a lot of things you got to know. Everybody say, I'm a veteran, give me a contract. Nobody's going to give you anything. So I'm going to sum it up in this way. More of us need to get on the bus, and more of us need to help push the bus along. And I think that's where Laurie's advocacy and VR's advocacy is going to come in. But let me say this. Being a service disabled vet, being a woman-owned vet, being a minority owner, those are vehicles to get to you. But you must get in your car as a business or build a strategy to get to the people who have the money, to get to the people who have the decision to give you the money. And so when you get there and they say, oh my God, I love Laurie. Laurie is phenomenal. Then now they got the vehicle to drive Laurie's way and give her the contract. That's really the deal. But nobody's coming to you. Can't get in your car and go to them and say, I'm a veteran, I'm a woman, I'm a minority, because there are thousands just like you.
Right.
Thousands.
Right.
And so it's about that pivoting, and positioning is about relationship. It's about understanding, what do I offer? What do they need? I've listened in on people talking about their business. You know what? Be quiet. You don't know the client. When you get in front of a person who has money to spend on you, your job is to figure out, what do they need?
Yes.
So first of all, it's gonna be Sam. Solve a problem, address an issue, meet a need. Bring Uncle Sam with you, and be quiet and listen.
Go ahead.
I'm done. Y'all don't know me, but I keep it real.
No. We coming back to you. But Laurie, I want to come to you because you are the business owner and you have already gone through this process. Talk to us about the challenges, because I hear women say all the time, oh, it's too much. The process is complicated. I tried, but this and that. So talk to us about getting over that hurdle, going through that process as a business owner, because you have to go through the process or you're not going to be doing business with the government.
That's on point. And I want to back up just real quick to say that being VA verified, Civility Management Solutions has 3 contracts now that we operate on as a subcontractor, because the state of Maryland utilizes the VA verification process to confirm who's a veteran business owner in the state of Maryland. And they have percentages within the contracts that they give from the state of Maryland, stating that you must have 1%, 2%, or whatever must go to a veteran-owned business. So we've gotten the phone call to be added onto opportunities just because we are verified with the VA. So I do, as G.I. said, encourage you to take care of that now if you're a business owner, because it could still open up doors that when my phone rings for that, that's a beautiful day, right? And then secondly, when I heard her talk about you want to hear about the process. Well, it's a tough one, because the federal government is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And you got to go out, shaking hands, meet and greet. Networking is numero uno. The government did not teach us how to do that. However, meaning the military. The military gave us teamwork, which is what we are. That's a given. In the Marine Corps, leave no man behind. I mean, I don't care how big, how small you are. I just can't step over you talking about I'll see you later, dog.
In
I
the
mean,
Air
you
Force, I'm
gotta,
not sure. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
sure.
yeah, 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 yeah,
We
yeah.
say send in the airplanes.
Exactly. I got to handle my business and figure out a way to get you out. That's what the teamwork is all about. You have each other's back completely. So in this game, there are a lot of people that's doing a lot of different things, but you got to be ready to meet that challenge of businesses that's not supporting you. You have to be willing to get out there and fight your way through as a woman. Don't be
We need
African
a whole
American.
session on that, Lori.
Yeah,
No, I
exactly.
can't let you pass by that.
Yeah, I know.
We need a whole
Whole
session
session.
to talk about as a woman. Okay, you can just make a little note. We need to come back on that one because Lori's spot on that.
Yeah, it's because it's real deal talk. I mean, and that stuff is in front of your face all the time, and you got to battle through that in order to say, no, excuse me, my name is Laurie Sayles. I'm the president and CEO of Civility Management Solutions. I'm not here to serve you coffee.
No, and I
Tell
think
you
that's
what,
one of the reasons why in 2020 we're focused on building. And we
yes,
found that a lot of female veterans were not really confident about talking about their business, not even with their other colleagues. So we're leaving money on the table when we're not doing B2B, when we're not looking
yes,
for referrals. We have to
yes,
constantly be out there letting people know, hey, I'm in business. This is what I do. This is what I'm
yes.
looking for. Maybe not you, but maybe somebody you know. And so
Everybody
that
should know that
confidence
about you.
building, we believe, has to be consistent. So thank you for sharing that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you get
And
back on
see,
your mic.
I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. I'm from the city of Chicago. I mean, we call it the hustle. You know what I'm saying? But I've been, yeah, Stephanie, I see you in the house. I mean, I roll like that from as far back as I can remember. So like G.I. was saying, I ended up getting a job working for a small business within the federal government and had an aha moment and said, this is the wealth transfer right here.
Hello.
I've been over here playing around with boot camp, being a fitness instructor, which I enjoy doing, some health and wellness things I've done, some medical billing that I tried. But the real money is over here in this house with this federal government contracting.
Yeah.
And so I aspired, and so I kept doing my part. I started attending the DC PTACs, particularly because I worked in DC. PTACs are a huge, 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 huge value to you if you're interested in doing federal government contracting, because that's all they're teaching and training about. Procurement, technical assistance centers. They're across this country.
Yeah.
Their focus is federal government contracting. And so you can learn about any and everything there. So I spent a
Including
lot of time.
verification.
Exactly. They're reviewers because they reviewed mine actually, GI, before I did my submission, the DC office. So they're a big effort, a big effort. Then I had my SCORE, SBA SCORE mentor. I utilized them. I'm still connected to them today. These are all the people that I've had as sources in order to make sure that I am mindful of all the rules and regulations, because there are plenty of those. But we're veterans. We understand rules, regulations, policies, procedures. We were built with that when you served in the military. So it's just about learning the means of that here on the government side. Now, my pivot has been always in me as well. Like you said, we should have been thinking as a business owner where the pivots are long before COVID-19. And we were we were introduced to a company that wants to work with us in telehealth. Well, we started looking at finalizing that contract right before COVID-19 hit. So that's an area that we're going to go into. And then lo and behold, when it did hit, the PPE I started getting the phone calls. But going back to why I'm getting those phone calls, talking about why the telehealthers came to me, is because I walked the pavement. I banged on the doors. I shook the hands. I
Better
smiled.
preach.
My name is Laurie Sayles, President and CEO of CivilityMS. People begin to know me. People begin to like me. People begin to trust me. All of
Yes.
those things, and they're now coming together.
Yes.
Oh, let's call that girl Laurie. Wait a minute, that's Civility Management Solutions.
Yes.
Let's see if she's interested in this, because I was not looking to be trying to market PPE items. It wasn't even on my mind until I got that phone call. I said, yes, I'm interested.
Yes. And I want to say something, Lori, that you mentioned is, I think, key. Is you built the bridge before you needed it. I tell people all the time, people try to run over a bridge and build it at the same time. It's relationally and physically impossible. Okay? So if you and the other thing I want to say that Lori doesn't realize that she naturally does, but Lori is a strategic connector. Okay, you don't need to know everybody. You just need to know the people that need you. And you need to go where they are. They are not coming to you. There are too many. I say, why do you go to that barbershop? Y'all can tell why. But why do I pass 15 other barbershops to get to that one? It's because of the relationship. It's because I know them, because I can trust them and I like them. It's the same thing with you. You must be strategic. Who has the problems that you're trying to solve? Who has the issues that you are thinking that you can solve? And who has needs that need to be met by your product or your service?
That's right. And while you're talking about that, Michelle, talk a little bit about what's happening at the government level. I tell people every day, COVID-19 is happening, but people are making money. People are doing business because they have positioned themselves to do so. So what are some of the things that are happening at the federal government level with the VA that people can start looking at and say, hey, I provide that, or I provide something similar to that. I need to redefine my product or redefine my service so I can be in position to take advantage of these opportunities.
So first of all, I'm not going to say that the federal government is doing anything other than what it always does. And that is the need to serve the taxpayers and take care of veterans. Second of all, VA has a secondary mission. We are the largest teaching hospital and the largest hospital system in the country. So when this COVID thing started, we also started helping HHS and CDC and other entities. So it expands well beyond just VA. But here's what I'd like to say. You heard Laurie say some key words. Telehealth. Hello, we're going to be virtual for a minute and in some respect for a very long time. Second of all, if you know how to do this virtual meeting stuff, and VR, you did a great job because, girl, I'm still learning. But they need facilitators. They need people who can understand who can put on meetings, virtual meetings. So I would tell you a couple of things. Look for trends. Look for when VA is poked in the face, look at those things and say, I can solve that problem. Look at GAO, Government Audit Agency Organization, Government Auditing Organization, I think it's our office. GAO reports. It's like an IG report. Congress tells GAO, I don't like what VA or a federal agency is doing. Go in there, investigate, and report. So look at GAO audits. Look at IG reports. Look at the news. There are lots of things that problems that need to be solved. The other thing, if you're not in, somebody sent me a text or email and said, well, if I'm not in IT or construction, VA is not concerned about me. Yes, we are. We're concerned about everybody. But the reality is you can't sell ice to an Eskimo. If VA doesn't, or a government agency doesn't need what you're offering, they're not going to be buying. That's so right. The 5 areas that VA buys in: IT, construction, pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and professional services, which is consulting, training, logistics, and also logistics. Those are the largest areas that VA buys in. So as a new or a up and coming veteran-owned business, you should be looking to subcontract to other businesses who are primes, because the reality is the VA or any other federal agency is not going to give you a $8 million, $10 million contract and you've been in business a year. And if you see it happening, it's because there was a relationship there and there's a capacity already there that person has, or they have the capacity to pull together an all-star team and execute that contract. But when contracting officers write contracts, they're writing them and feeling like, I wrote you that contract, I gave it to you, and I'm not going to see you again until it's time to renegotiate, because you're going to perform on time, at standard, and I'm not going to have any problem because my client is going to be so happy.
Right.
Contracting officers are concerned about giving contracts to small businesses because we start them, We put our CEO title and shingles up, but can you pay employees? Can you hire 10, 15, 20 employees in 30 days and be ready to work? That's what the contract is going to expect. Do you have an HR person to hire, fire, negotiate benefits and salaries for you? And if you don't have a person, you should have at least, there are companies that do nothing but outsource HR for small businesses. Can you pay? Can you pay your bills, your lease? All these people, you got to have an accounting service. You got to have a legal service, because some employee is not going to be happy, and they're going to want to sue you, or they're going to say you breached their contract in some manner. So these are the things that we must be prepared for, and we must posture ourselves. And the last thing I want to say, if we don't get to it, is we must work together. We must work together. I'm going to say that. We must work together. Yeah. My dream, and I always say I'm a dreamer, and I hope I'm not the only one, is that there will be more all-female teams of businesses getting multi-million-dollar contracts.
Come on,
because
girl.
Together we can do it. But we're so busy. I can do it. I'm strong. There's time when strength is a weakness. Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta know. I know. See, what I know. But when I don't know something, I'm quiet and I go find somebody else who knows. So we gotta learn how to build trust in this coalition that Laurie's talking about. I'm excited because there's gonna be all of those. There's gonna be multiple of those popping up. VA is gonna have a task force where we're gonna be bringing nonprofits and primes and small businesses together to figure this thing out. Yes. This is a movement. Do your part so that when we open the door, you're ready to walk in.
And let me just jump in and say this. This is something that actually surprised me, because, well, we got what we got going on in the country, but in business, there's black on black crime. Yes. But when I see veteran on veteran crime, I my head go to spinning around because I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, I don't understand. Because, because we were taught when we serve the importance of teamwork and coming together and making stuff happen. The reason why we have the reputation in the world is based off of that one that one small thing. Yes. We come together and we're going to stay together because we will not fail. We must win. So the mindset for women veterans and being in business and working together should not be complicated. I'm like, okay, you didn't get civilianized, if it's such a word, okay? Because you didn't got out here.
The value system with their uniform.
Something. What happened? Did you forget? Yep. You know what I'm saying? Get in the game, stay in that game, because it's something that you learned when you serve beyond leadership that you must carry with you throughout life, because you cannot get where you really can go by yourself.
Preach it, girl. And can I say something? Now you ain't like everybody you serve with.
Say that again.
You did not. So what I'm saying is, but you had a common mission.
Yes.
Which joined you together to achieve.
Whether I liked you or not.
I'm not saying every woman, every veteran that you meet, you gonna love and want to party with and want to go to church with or have over your house. But if you can figure out.
Yes, this is business. I ain't gotta like you. I ain't gotta like you.
Win-win person. Win-win business is like, and both of y'all in it to win it. And you're going to come up with an agreement that is mutually beneficial. Can I say that? Mutually beneficial.
Fair and honest. Fair and honest.
Because what Laurie's talking about is veterans who sub to other veterans, and then they pass you all the risks. So it sounds good to subcontract, but they pass you all the risks. You're doing all of the contract. You have all of the work and all of the risk. So if you fail, your business is done. Your reputation's done. You're never going to get another contract, and they know that. So what they do is they pass it to you, and you didn't understand how to negotiate salaries or negotiate positions. If I get an FTE position, if that's worth $200,000, it may sound good, but by the time I get benefits, yada yada yada, that's only $150. Then I got to hire somebody less than $150. Or at least at 100, 110, so I can have a $20,000 profit. That's the kinds of things we don't understand. And so we go in and say, oh, I got a contract. And then you are doing that work for free because you did not understand how to price. And Laura, you
And
know I'm telling the
yeah,
truth.
that's one part
So
of it.
what
And then the
happens
other
is,
side of it, the other
hey,
side.
that's the ugly. Okay.
Tell
So
the
what
other
happens
side,
is,
GI.
huh?
Tell the other side. The other side is you also work with somebody as a subcontractor and you get no work. That happens
Woo-hoo. Oh
more
yeah.
commonly.
Yes, they use your benefits. I mean, they use your capabilities
That's you go.
and resume to get the contract. And then what they say is, I just talked to a very high, powerful woman last week. Said, "Oh, now I know what's wrong." They will say, "Oh, you get up to 10 FTEs when you're part of this teaming or this partnering agreement." Up to doesn't mean up to is zero to 10. And so she said, now I understand what the deal is. When you have to say, no, if you get this contract, you will give me 10.
Yes.
You
Yes.
will give me 5. You will give me 2, or between 2 and 5, something.
Mhm.
And
Let me
so,
jump in, GI.
go
Let me
ahead.
jump in on this because it's going back into the advocacy. I have sat in front of on the Hill now 3 times as a witness, and one of the things that have been discussed and shared that we know that they're looking at on the Hill is the fact of, as a subcontractor, when the prime decides to remove any of the positions or give you no work at all, that there's some aftermath that the government can get involved. Because currently the way the laws are set, the prime has control over the contract. The business to business matter that you have going on is not of the federal government's personal business. I mean, or their, the business of what they're interested in. They're only focused on the prime relationship, and that's fine.
Yep.
However,
Yep.
when you have submitted a subcontract agreement showing the split of the work, when you have submitted with your resumes, as she said, your past performance on there, and the prime now pushes you away and give you no work after
Yep.
they won the award, they're
Yep.
trying to come up with a method so that the government, the OSCW office, I think is I'm pretty sure is the office that we were specifically speaking to on the Hill, that can be involved to hold the prime accountable. If nothing else, they
Yes.
fall on this list.
Yes.
Like, okay, we see that we have a company that's not going to get a good past performance with the government because they're not being fair
Yes.
and equitable with their subcontractors.
Yes.
Because that happens a lot, ma'am. Unfortunately, I mean,
What percentage would you say, Lori?
I want
I
to
hate to
jump in
say
there
it,
just
50.
Laurie, I want to jump in there just a minute and talk about where you guys were talking about working together, because I noticed that the guys can sit down over beer and this one says he does this and that one says he does that. And tomorrow they're putting in a contract and getting the money. And we take months and weeks before we decide that we want to work together. And I think it's so key what you said. We are not developing friendships. We are doing business. What we need to be looking at with that other female veteran is the quality of her business, the competency of her business, the reputation of her business, not the style of her hair or the clothes that she
Come on,
wears,
girl.
or
Or
even
that
the
she
way she
rolled her
talks, and
eyes
none of
at
that
you the last
foolishness,
time
because
she
that
saw
doesn't
you.
put money on the table. And we spend a lot of time in what I want to call girly stuff. We need to be focused on business. And so part of what we do at the Better Women's Enterprise Center is we try to bring the women together, and we talk to them all the time about it is okay to sub, because you have to build a reputation, just like you build a resume. No one's going to hire you as the CEO of the company if all you ever been was secretary. You're going to have to move from the secretary to the administrative coordinator, to the marketing coordinator, to an AVP, to a VP, to a senior VP, before someone's going to look at you and say, oh yeah, you can be the CEO of this company. And we have millions, well, at least hundreds of thousands of African Americans who have taken the marathon, who have ran the journey, and they've accomplished what they need to do. And somehow when we get into business, we think that there's this magic wand that we wave and all of a sudden we're a millionaire. It really doesn't work that way. And I think I want you just to speak a little bit more, Laurie, because I know in your bio, and I hope everybody read Laurie's and Michelle's bio. I did get some emails from people saying they were having difficulty getting in. So I hope they'll listen to us on Facebook, because this is powerful. This is not much. This is powerful information that they need to understand how to really get to the table. But I want you to talk a little bit, Laurie, about the marathon. You've been in business almost 11 years, but you didn't start doing government contracts overnight. So talk to us a little bit about that journey so women veteran-owned businesses can understand if you get that overnight, that's great. But that is not the standard.
No.
That's not what naturally happens. And
No.
you need to understand what naturally happens, because most of us are going to be in that average. We're not going to be that miracle over there where, you just happen to jump in and woo, you made $1 million.
That's
We
right.
got to go through the process. We got to be willing to do that if we really want to be self-sufficient and have our own business. So let me turn that over to you, Laurie.
Okay, so when I got out the military, TAPS didn't exist. I'm gonna start right there. There was no such thing. Y'all just pulled that uniform off, and I knew I had to get a job. My first job was a receptionist, making $17,000 a year because I wanted to come out of a uniform. Of course, the police, the corrections, they all would have took me. I wanted to get into corporate America. Now, I went from receptionist to an admin assistant. No, secretary. Back then they had secretaries. We're talking about the 90s. To an admin assistant, to an executive assistant, to an operations director, to a project manager. When I landed as a project manager, now 20 plus years of being a civilian, now I get introduced to this business. I'm like, this has been here all the time. Are you serious? But yet I can't discount my journey. Because I was living in the DC metropolitan area for many of those years and had no idea that right here was this government contracting. Because I always had a hustle in addition to those jobs. But I did do a climbing. So I went there, that real journey of being from a receptionist to now the president CEO. But there was a lot of steps and years in between that. So that's one aspect of what you're saying that's just real. We have to be willing to go through the journey of being an entrepreneur and landing in federal government contracting. And, because even with landing, go ahead.
No, that's what I want you to talk about.
Even
getting
with
certified and then actually getting a contract. Because I think a lot of our women, we have a certification program, and we talk a lot to our women when we interview them that getting certified is just the beginning. Yeah, you have to start building those relationships and being out there and partnering up so that those people who have the contracts will want to do business with you, will have confidence in you to do business with you. And again, they're not giving you a contract.
No,
you have earned that contract through performance. So I hate to say
sweat and tears.
You earned that contract because you were the most competitive. You have performed exceptionally, and you are prepared to take on this opportunity. So just talk a little bit about, you got certified and the time frame it took you to really get a contract and start seeing those profits.
That's good. That's good that you're bringing that up, because I sat at the kitchen table for about 4.5 years at that minimum wage. I paid myself something, and that's another thing, women, pay yourself something. But it is about not only signing up for all these things that you can get in training, but attending them, staying until the end, because those conversations that you have at the end is how you get those great relationships. Don't just go and leave, hang out, talk to people. So that was huge. That's turned out to be a big benefit for where I am today. Then the second part of what you're saying, yes, get your certifications, but take care of those certifications alongside of focusing on growing your business. Don't focus on the certification and not focus on getting your training, not going to events to meet people. Let the certifications be that late night hour, that 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you signing them papers, you filling stuff out, because it's a lot. But let's be clear, again, to my women veterans, or all women, but particularly women veterans, it's like you all know what it is to go to full haul. You know what it is to pull from your gut and try to make something happen that don't feel good. The certifications don't feel good. It's like I had to get my mama out the grave and ask her a few questions to put her back in. Then I had to go talk to my dad and get him out the grave and put him back in, because there's a lot of work to dig in that ground to get him out so I can ask him a question so I can answer it. But once I got that answer, place it on the paperwork, submit it, I was approved. Yes, they're asking you for a lot of information, but do you want what they have to offer? Yes. So that means you just do the work. Stop whining. Matter of fact, I don't understand that whining, because in Marine Corps, we didn't get to whine. We sure didn't get to whine. Girl, please. That's like a sin. Okay, so anyway, so stop whining. Just get the work done, and you'll get the fruit of it, right? So I'm glad you brought up that whole thing about the certifications, because they really can be a pain. And beyond that, once you get all of those things mixed up, you don't start with the certification. My pitch is, hi, my name is Laurie Sayles. I'm President CEO of Civility Management Solutions. We offer professional consulting services. We're focusing on program, project, financial grants management. We do some conference logistics and some human capital training. And we happen to be an 8A woman-owned, service-disabled owned business.
There you go. And you
Meaning
ended
now
with
I'm giving
that.
you exactly. And so the relationships that I had established when I got my 8A, that's when the change came. Being woman-owned added no value. Hence, the reason why the advocacy and the fight on the Hill that I have spoke on as well is parity within some of these socioeconomic statuses, some parity there. But nothing came as a woman-owned small business. So what? Being a service disabled. Now, let's be also clear. Service disabled is not a socioeconomic status. That is an earned status. And don't let nobody call you socioeconomically nothing if you serve the United States military. So in this country. So that's another one. And then the third one, of course, was the 8A. When I got the 8A, now the doors were able to open. I got my 8A in January. And by May, I had my first direct award of $2 million. Why? Because now there was a vehicle that I could use that allowed them to disregard past performance or anything like that, but to go solely off of my reputation. We know you,
Yes.
we like you, we trust you, we've seen what you've done. We remember you when you were working for ABC Company and how you managed that 128 employees for that doggone woman. So I know you can manage this contract with 4 or 5 people on it. So it's those things that open up the door. The 8A, and may I add, do not get that certification until somebody start asking you if you have it.
That's right.
Because the day you get it, those 9 years kick in.
Starts ticking.
And I have had way too many people when I was sitting on panels, again, sitting at that kitchen table. I thank the Lord for how he's brought me to the forefront long before there was any profit and revenue, long before I've been speaking. And I don't know why, obviously people are like, well, I got to say, but nonetheless, I had people come up to me. I've been 8A for 3 years. I've been 8A for 5 years. I've been 8A for 7 years. I don't have anything. I don't have anything. And I'm sitting back going, who told you to get an 8A? Well,
Get AA.
yeah,
Yes.
because of course these small business centers, they see minority, they tell you to run out there. This is one of those great things, but it doesn't mean nothing's falling out out the sky because you are an 8A. Gee, I hit that earlier. It's tons of us. You have to make sure that you have your relationships ready for that kind of thing. And the 8A is a waste of time if you're having a day. Every day that I go by, every day that goes by and I don't have a signing of a contract, that's a day I lost.
Yes. Yes.
And I
And I
see it
think the
that way.
other thing, Lori, that's important is that's why they tell you 2 years in to get that 8A minimally. And if in those 2 years you haven't begun to build a reputation, you haven't done any subbing, you don't need to go get that 8A because you're not ready. The government's
Not
still
ready.
not going to give you those types of contracts because you haven't proven you have the capability.
That's correct.
And so I think I'm so glad that you said that. Michelle, do you want to jump in here? Michelle.
She's got to come out of mute. You're still on mute, Michelle.
Yeah, I see.
There you go.
Okay, we got you.
Okay. Yes, and I want to echo what Laurie said. If you have NVR, if you have not learned to fish for yourself, see you have to look at the history of the reason for 8A program. The reason 8A program was developed and the vision behind it was to give minority companies business that would help launch themselves. But if you have not learned how to develop and build and get business on your own, 8A can be a crutch, right? And if you don't have a strategy. So Laurie has a strategy. Laurie knows I'm going after 8A in these various areas because at the end of those 9 years, 8A is intended to have a past performance to increase the depth that you have in your past performance for your company. So you must enter 8A not only, as VR said, after you've gotten some contracts on your own, but then you shouldn't take every contract that comes to you. There should be a strategy. Does that go with what I do? If it doesn't, then consider, is it something I want to begin to do and build a capacity there? But if you're just all over the place, at the end of the 9 years, your past performance will be this deep and this wide. And people go, you haven't done enough.
No, you're a jack of all trades and a master of nothing.
Exactly.
And I think that's another important point that,
That's
particularly
good.
in corporations, they're looking for you to be a specialist at
Yes.
what they hire you to do. Now, there
Yes.
may be other elements of that contract, but like with DSI, with Dallas ISD, you may be the lead on the contract, but that contract may require printing. It may require graphic artists. It may require some marketing people. They don't expect you to know all of that. They expect you to know your lead and then to
Yep.
bring in other what? Masters at their craft to be subcontractors with you. And that's what we as women veterans continually drop the ball because we think we need to be able to do it all and we're not collaborating and bringing in other people. I want to throw out a couple of things that businesses should be doing. And then Laurie and Michelle, because our time is getting close to the end, I want you guys to jump in and say, hey, yeah, nay, which one of these are priorities, so on and so forth.
Okay.
But as they're looking at COVID-19, one of the things we've been telling businesses is to start reducing non-essential costs. And the only way you're going to do that is start going through your budget and saying, what do we really need? And now that we've had to stay home, that businesses have closed, you know what you really need to run your business and you know what the fluff is because you didn't have it. And if you didn't have it and you were still running your business, it's non-essential. It's real simple. The other thing is to invest in custom. I'm sorry?
I was going to echo one thing. So also not only non-essential things, but also non-essential business lines. If you're in a business that hasn't brought you any money, stop putting effort and focus on that. Focus on something else.
Also invest in customer retainment strategies. So what are you doing to retain the customers that you have? It's like they say, it's cheaper to keep them. It's so much cheaper to keep it than go out and get a new one. So what are the strategies that you're putting in place to keep the customers that you have? Okay, working your digital and virtual opportunities. If you weren't online, you better be online because that's where everything is happening because the businesses are closed and there's no use saying, I don't know, it's too difficult. There's so many tools out there to learn. We started a COVID-19 resource center. One of the tools is available tools and training. A lot of companies are offering free training, webinars on how to use these virtual tools so you can become automated. So if you don't know, you need to find out. The other thing is marketing and sales taxes for the future. Nobody's spending money on quick fix. Businesses and your customers don't want to be pitched. They want to be helped. Everybody is suffering. So if they're going to spend their money, they're going to spend their money on something that is really going to be of value to them. So when you're pitching your customers, it's not, oh, this is cheap and it's discounted. No, what is the value to that customer? How is this going to help them stay alive? How is this going to help them do the business that they need to do? And then the other thing is improving current customer experience.
Yes.
What is the experience of your customer right now? Are you easy to get to? Are you easy to talk to? Can they get to you when there's a problem? Are you making life easier for them or more difficult? Because right now people have choices. And if you are not giving them a good customer experience, they're going to make a new choice.
That's right.
So what are we doing here? Ladies, you want to hit on some of those points?
All of those are on point. I can tell you that as far as even getting into the pivot, consider joint ventures. Civility Management Solutions has established a joint venture, and we're going into cybersecurity in that joint venture. Also, the point of that I heard you say about repeat customers. Well, first of all, you got to show up and show up right and tight. Don't just always send your people. Go as the president, CEO, meet your team of employees that you have on your contract. Go out and meet the stakeholders. Make sure that they all know that you are accessible and you can be reached, because we have repeat customers currently at Civility Management Solutions, and a lot of that is because I show up. And then as far as like another thing we've done, we got monthly check-ins now. We just did a session with one young lady that's on here with us now, Deanna Boyd, that's on my team. She studied in the Yana Van Zant. And so we did a program where we last week, and we're going to do them every month, where we do an hour with any employee at about 6 o'clock in the evening. You can check in, it's not mandatory, where you can talk about what's going on in your home, get any help that you may need in a conversation. So it was something that's added a huge benefit to employees. I got a lot of people responding saying, thank you so much for that. Because for one, we want to show that we care.
Yes.
We want to show that we care. And again, as a veteran, I don't know how you don't care for people, because again, we were taught this kind of stuff. So these things should be natural for us.
Yes.
Not just because we're women.
Did you have another one, Laurie?
No, go for it.
So I wanted to echo something you said is, you know, sometimes this thing of being a business owner, I'm going to use a story. There was a business owner who had a contract. It wasn't in my directorate, but in another directorate. I knew him from the Air Force. Now, first of all, I was getting whispers even after the kickoff meeting. Now, that's the first meeting you have with the client after you get a contract, that there was going to be some issues. And I called him. I said, reached out to him on LinkedIn. I said, I didn't know you were competing for a contract in my office. He said, yeah. I said, well, you should have told me. I could have given you some intel on the client, not the contract. Haven't seen the contract, but I can tell him who the client is, right? So here it is. We've been connected for more than 30 years, but he don't call me. I don't know why, but again, remember I talked about building relationships. Then I started hearing there's problems. And I called him and I said, buddy, I think you got some issues. Oh, I have a program manager. I'm the CEO. I don't have time for those kind of things. I've got a program manager that's handling that. Did he lose that contract? Does he have a smudge, a black mark on his CPARs, which is your reporting card for your business? And before they give you another contract, they're going to look on your CPARs and see how you've been doing. Are you an A, B, C, D, E, F? It's probably some other categories, but it's equivalent to that. So my point is, don't ever be too big. When you hear there is an issue, go.
Yeah.
Go. Meet
Get on
with
the plane.
client,
Do what you got to do.
hear from him or her directly. What is the issue? And handle it. And if that means every day you got to go over there and process some CVE applications or put some stamps on an envelope, you better do it.
Yes,
but, no, I'm just saying.
That's real talk.
People are like, "Oh, I'm the CEO. I'm." No, you ain't. You might be the CEO now, but you got to go do other business because you got to ding in the federal government.
You got to take care of your customer.
Take care of your customer.
And you can't be too big to go small again. That's what I'm really saying.
Come on, that's good.
I always said the way I was successful when I was APHIS commander. I stocked merchandise. I cleaned bathrooms. I ran the cashier and bagged things. I have fried chicken in Popeyes. I have made donuts. I have fried burgers in Burger King. Every entity of my retail business, which was 87 different locations. Now, I don't want to do it every day, but every time I visited a location, I did something that the common person who is making the least amount, I went and sat and stood beside them. And I did that because I wanted to hear and see from their perspective so that I then could come back as commander and make better decisions to ease those issues. And so I just use that as an example that as CEOs, we can't get too big. And the last thing I want to say is, when you do get some money, reinvest in your business. Don't be out here buying cars, houses. Wait a minute, just wait a minute. Let's see how this thing go before, because there's somebody I talked to a lot of small business, got a contract. They said, oh, you're going to get this $5 million contract, but it was a task order contract. He went out, bought him a car. It's been 6 months. They haven't issued any task orders on that contract. He ain't got no money. It's just saying it could go to 5 million. So these are just some things that I see people making a mistake on. But the real deal is, if he would have been in touch and gone to see that client, he would have known. If he would have understood how business works instead of relying on somebody else, he would have known it was a task order. And he didn't have any money until they asked him to bid on that task order. It was awarded. And then he would have known that's when the money comes.
And I think that's so key, Michelle, because we don't know what we don't know. Exactly. And it's conversations like this, and it's going to organizations like ours, and it's connecting to those resources. I want to share the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center is a SCORE branch. I'm a certified SCORE mentor. We
Awesome.
understand the value of these free SBA resource partners, and we
Yes.
encourage our clients to get connected. Those are your federal dollars at work, so use them.
Yes.
But the bottom line is, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so while you're making these assumptions, like you said, this could be the end of this gentleman's credit from purchasing a car that now he can't pay for because the money hasn't come through because you didn't understand the process. So staying connected and don't get too big for your britches. I got a contract, I don't need them no more. And then you don't ask anybody anything and you don't understand how the contract works. And then when you're not getting your money, you run back to us and say, oh, I spent all this money and they haven't given me my money yet. What's happening? Like, you should have came to us when you got it.
Oh, by the way,
you got it. So we can help you manage your cash flow and your income, so you knew how this money was going to come and what your organization was going to look like. You come to us before you get in trouble, because we can always help you, but it's so hard to fix the problem after you've messed up things.
And the government doesn't pay, pays 30 to 60 days. Laurie, can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, they can't go up to 30 to 40 days. But I mean, right now, I would say that the reputation has improved. Specifically in the agencies, I got really one agency that's a problem. But we get paid sometime within a week and a half. But 2 weeks is becoming more common for them to process payment. And that's actually another push on the Hill, is to ensure that small businesses are paid within 2 weeks, because it's already a law, but they obviously need to revisit things sometime, VR, because even though the law is there, nobody's paying attention to it. Just like the WVOSB law over at the VA, you know, we've had a lot of challenges with that because of the word shall, you know, one word, the entire agreement caused a lot of conflict. But the good news is that Supreme Court made a decision on it through the Kingdomware efforts to say, no, you shall give them an opportunity to service the VA, specifically if they are a veteran-owned business that's been verified through the process. They must be on the higher end of consideration if they bring the qualifications to receive that contract.
So I just want to acknowledge where we are. We are over our time. If you ladies are okay, we have a small group here. We have some people watching on Facebook. I want to open it up if someone has a specific question, because we talked about a lot, but maybe somebody jumped on this call because they had a specific question they wanted to ask. So Stephanie is here. She's with Dallas ISD. She's our co-host, and you can put your question in the chat room, or because we're extremely small, you can go ahead and ask your question. I can unmute you if you need me to. If you just raise your hand and let us know you have a question, we can give you an opportunity to ask that question. So does anyone have a question? I'm watching on Facebook. I'm not seeing a question come up. In the meantime,
I have a question.
I want you ladies to give us your top three. We talked about pivoting, positioning, your business for success. So can you give us your top three? And one would be around, what's the first thing and the most important thing they need to remember about pivoting? What's the most important thing they need to remember about positioning your business? Let's just do those top two. So Laurie, Michelle, who wants to go first?
Somebody had a question.
Where are they? Stephanie, someone has a question?
Well, I actually said I had a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to ask, because I know that there is some small correlations for state contracting and federal contracting. Just like with anything else, there's pros and cons to both. And as I was listening to the speakers today, some of the questions that I get asked when vendors come and talk to me with Dallas ISD in regards to contracting, because we do work with a lot of veterans. We don't necessarily have a veteran specific program, but a lot of business owners who are veterans do come to our office and ask questions. So one of the statements that I heard was about the doing business with federal government. Is there a particular time frame in which a business owner should be in business before they pursue federal contracting?
My immediate answer to that would be no. The thing is that you just have to know how it's done in the federal government, because I started in the federal government. That was my focus. Simplified acquisitions, which is that threshold of, back then it was 250,000 or less. I think they've increased it. I can't quote the amount right now. Yeah, so simplified acquisitions a lot of times are quotes. Okay, how much money are you going to charge me to do this? So I've always been in the federal government space. However, getting that education through like a place like Procurement and Technical Assistance Center is mandatory, because there are some serious rules and regulations to working within the federal government. And if you're not into that fine writing on the paper and that contract you're going to sign, you need to know at least what's, inside that contract, so I would have to say the answer is no, but be educated on working in the federal government space.
Okay, great, because that is some of the things that I've been telling them. And since today's webinar is about pivoting, that is also one of the things that I've been telling a lot of vendors. Yeah, you may not be able to get opportunities right now with Dallas ISD or maybe some of the other local entities, but you may want to consider federal contracting, if that's something that you had not considered before, because a lot of business owners are pivoting not only between different contracting types, but also, like you said earlier, Laura, even with the types of products and services that they're offering, especially in this particular climate. So, but yeah, thank you so much for answering that question.
So also, I'd like to add that if they come to the federal government, they still must be very focused. I find people say, well, I just want to get a contract. Okay, well, you can't build a relationship. You must, just like you must know your market. So if you look at, for instance, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A not trying to be the Burger King chicken sandwich. They're not trying to be any chicken sandwich, but just who they are. And so if you want to approach the federal government, you first must know exactly who you are, what you do. And then you must do your research. You got to see what federal agency buys that thing.
Right.
And then where do those people, so let's say like everybody does IT.
Yeah, a lot of people.
But who does the who is buying the kind of IT that you are awesome at? It ain't even hard for you to do. Start there. Then the second thing is, where do those people hang out? Where are the professional services organizations they hang out? Where are the conferences they hang out at?
Good.
You must go to places where you can build relationships with them, where you can begin to say, here's who I am, what I do, etc. So that's why just saying I want to do contracts with the federal government that's like saying I want to solve world hunger. You must carve out the state you want to do it in or the agency. Then once you find the agency, you then want to go into what part of that agency do I want to market
Drill
to?
down.
And then you must go on FPDS, beta.sam.gov, which is, where I know everybody's saying the transition's been crazy and that the website is crazy, but bottom line, that's where VA and every other agency are putting their requirements. You then look on there and say, put your NAICS codes in. Oh, by the way, don't have 15 NAICS codes. Start out with about 3 or 4. I mean, I'm just saying, just narrow it down and then drill down and see what agencies have those specific ones, and then just begin to have a plan. And most small businesses don't understand how to do business development. If I want to get $100 million contract, I've got to do $1 billion worth of touches of applying to contracts for it to come through the funnel for me to possibly get 100.
Yeah, come on.
You got to do touches. You got to be bidding on. You got to respond requests for information, RFIs, sources sought. That's when the federal government says, we think we want this, but we need to see, does the market sell and offer that or offer a solution we've not thought of? That's a great way to get in, because if you have a unique solution, guess what? They'll go, oh, but this one right here, we need to talk to this one. And then when a government agency wants to get to you and they can't, they'll find somebody they know and trust and say, hey, go get that small business. They know what they're doing, and bring them to the team.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
I mean, I know it sounds simplistic, but
no, I get it. And I talk to business owners every single day, and I tell them the same thing. And that's why I said there are so many parallels between federal contracting and local governmental contracting. And I also wanted to touch on something that Laura was saying earlier about subcontracting and not being utilized. Now, I work for Dallas ISD, and we actually have a minority women business enterprise department. And one of our positions and one of our tasks is to prevent that, prevent primes from putting subcontractors down and not utilizing them. And
That's
another
good.
thing that I've noticed with subcontractors, a lot of times they're afraid to speak up. They would, they take, not getting paid or whatever abuse that they're being under because they're afraid. They're afraid to get blackballed. They're afraid that they won't get another opportunity.
Yep.
And so it's like trying to let them know that we are advocates for them and they don't need to be afraid of that. That's the only way that change is going to happen. If we are not aware that there's an issue. Now, I understand that not every entity, whether it be federal or local government, has that type of support or have that type of advocacy department within an entity. But, it's not necessary to withstand that, just because you don't want to get blackballed. But it's like, I understand twofold, but I get that a lot as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge that you did comment on that, and it is an issue. It's an issue on both sides. It's an issue on a federal level. It's an issue on a state and local level. And that's why departments like ours exist, to alleviate that and try to catch that and try to make sure that we, our compliance reporting piece catches stuff like that. So even if the subcontractor doesn't say anything, our compliance reporting catches it. And then once we find out, then we investigate it and we find out what's going on.
And that's been one of the values I see with the states.
I was going to say, Laura, you might want to see what
because there is in states, they're like in the state of Maryland, there's a compliance report that's required. It's just the federal government, so that currently don't have anything. And I get the reason why. It's just that unfortunately the primes have placed us in a position where we have to fight for it because it happens way too much. I mean, I've known companies that have written the entire proposal. This is their customer. And get no work. I've had my own experience where I passed on an 8A director award before I was 8A. Instead of it being a 51-49%, because let's be clear, that company would have never had the work if I did not bring them to the table. The reason why they got the work was because the customer knew me. They knew, like, and trust me and knew my abilities. And in the end, I ended up like with 30% of the work, which is a big difference as far as a growth of a new company. Especially when you're new, because you're trying to manage it all. So you don't need to be cheated out of any of your revenue when you've made some things happen. So thank you for sharing that part, Stephanie, because it's true that in states, there are many states that do have a compliance in place to help try to, eliminate that. But let me be also clear, as a business owner, I will ask someone when they tell me, girl, so-and-so company, I gave them an opportunity. I wrote a proposal. I did this, or I gave resumes, and you know what? They ain't give me no work. Who is that?
Hello. I don't want to go there.
No, Laurie, I don't want to tell you. I said, no, that's just like I'll tell you where I'm going to get my hair done or not.
Hello.
Just like I can tell you what place has the best coffee. Yes, I can tell you about where the best food. Don't you sit here and tell me you're gonna keep that a secret, because if you don't tell me and I go over there and get screwed by them, part of that is on you, and you didn't receive that. So that's my 2 cents on that.
No, you spot on. You spot
on. And I also want to add to that, a lot of times as being a subcontractor, this is kind of full circle on what you ladies were talking about earlier in regards to educating yourself. Because I always tell vendors, if whatever entity that you're doing business with has a scoring criteria, where that scoring criteria, as it relates to you being either a minority, woman, veteran, if that prime receives points of any kind for your utilization, regardless if the company who hired them has a program or not, you can go back to that company, because in essence, that's contract fraud.
Hello.
Come on.
Because that company has gotten a contract as a result of the points that they received
Yes.
putting you down
Yes.
as a sub.
That's
So
good word,
if that
Carol.
That's good.
happens, that gives you some type of leverage to say, hey, they put me down, but they didn't use me. So they got this contract off of false pretenses
Yes.
because they got the contract. Because if you think about it, most of these are competitive.
Yes.
Many.
So if it's a scoring criteria, one competitor may have 90 points, another one may have 92 points. They may have gotten that 92 points as a result of them having subcontractors and the other one not.
Yes.
So that means that they won that contract over the other prime because they had you
Go ahead,
listed.
girl. That's right.
Girl, that's good word.
That's how the state works.
That.
That is how the state works.
Yeah.
That is
So
it doesn't work that way on the federal level.
No, but state only.
State only.
Okay,
State,
well,
local.
that's why I made the statement. Whichever entity you deal with that has a point system, you know, where they're awarded some type of points for utilizing subcontractors. It may not work on the federal side unless now there are some companies, there are some private companies that have their own minority department.
Yeah,
And they themselves can dictate that, and they do federal contracting. So that's why I just wanted to make it clear that whichever entity that you're doing, if that company gets any type of scoring as a part of the evaluation, that's something to keep in mind.
That's good.
A sub.
Excellent feed.
So Michelle, I want to respect everybody's time. We're way over, but people that want to get this is getting this. So Michelle, I want to get your final word, and Laurie, I want to get your final word, and then we're going to close this out. But I do want to give you a chance to give that final word in there, you know, before we shut that down. So pivot, position for success. What's that final word they need to take away? If they didn't get nothing else you said, get this.
A couple of things. First, thank you, VR, for excuse me, for having me. And everybody who don't know me, all the drama, you know, I didn't know until Zoom came in that I was that dramatic, but you get me, that's it. But I would say from a pivot standpoint, pivoting is nothing more than changing, right? And I ascribe to a philosophy that if you are not growing and changing, then you are dead. So a company should always be seeking to change, evolve, pivot as necessary. And as Laurie pointed out, the pivoting happens and it causes an exponential growth when you are prepared for that pivot. Second of all, positioning. Positioning to me is about relationship and connections, because position is based on being relative to something else, right? So, you know, find out who are the people who have the money, and you don't have to always know them. Look for people who are influential with the people who do have the money and influence them and see, because let me tell you, every time I go somewhere, I'm always nice to secretaries, janitorial people, security guards, because they know who's who.
That's right.
They know who come. They can say, hey, you trying to get a, hey, so-and-so, they normally here late on Fridays. They'll know. So all of these kinds of things, building relationships are important, and that is key to positioning yourself. And as I said, you can't build a bridge and run over it at the same time. It's relationally and physically impossible.
Yeah,
so position yourself, make a commitment to grow and to get to know the right people.
That's awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Laurie,
I got it. Yeah, and I'm going to be with little words because she said it all and broke it down. But my thing when it comes to pivoting is that you got to be open to whatever opportunities that come your way. You know how to use the word yes for a whole bunch of junk. You need to make sure that you are saying yes to opportunities and not saying no to them. Like coming on and meeting with you today. I could have clearly said my schedule too busy. Oh, I'm going to be freaked out. Oh, I got this natural hair. I ain't looking nothing like that picture she going to post. No, none of that. The answer is yes. I'm going to participate. Then,
Yes.
so being able to constantly say that, you open up the door for different kind of opportunities and different types of business lines that you could potentially get involved with. And then as far as positioning, no matter who you meet, they're important. And
I like
until
that.
they show you, because this is one of my things. I will automatically trust you until you show me that I can't. Because off the top, for you to look at me and go, well, you know, I don't trust you. I'm gonna put $5 on the table. No, let me take this $5 because when I go to the bathroom, I don't know if Lori gonna take it. You don't know me to think I'm gonna steal from you. So why would you think that?
Yes.
So I practice that. I trust people until they show me I can't. And when they show me I can't trust them, I move on. And we are women. We have great intuition. I trust the Lord for him giving me insight and wisdom on things that I need to know, as well as I trust my people that I have around me that got my back to get in my ear. And if they don't get in my ear, I'm going to have a problem with them because I didn't open that door. I said, come on now, y'all need to talk to me when y'all feel a certain kind of way. And so these are the things I live by. So the positioning is, you know, make sure that you keep yourself open to everybody. Meet with people, meet with people, meet with people. Don't let nobody tell you we ain't got time for another meeting. They not the president and CEO. You take that meeting, you give them your time.
Yes.
Because you don't know what's going to come out of it. Maybe not now, but years later. And I'm already fortunate to have that be a part of the journey of my life, is that because I gave time a long time ago,
You reaping the harvest.
I'm reaping the harvest of that. I'm getting ready to get into cybersecurity because I gave time 7 years ago to somebody and stayed on her radar, became her friend.
Yes.
And so that was one of my goals, though. If you look at my business plan that was wrote back in 2011, it talked about having 3 lines: professional consulting, training, and cybersecurity. And guess what? It's here.
Hey, VR, can I say
want
one
to
thing?
thank Michelle Gardner, GI, vet biz lady, for coming on. She is a retired Air Force colonel, a awesome female veteran. And then Laurie, oh my God, Laurie is a Marine, holding it down, girl. And she was 2019 Maryland Woman Veteran Entrepreneur of the Year. She is making things happen. This is a conversation. If you missed it this morning, you need to make sure you jump on and listen to the whole conversation, because it was, as we said it would be, powerful. I want to thank everyone for taking their time this morning. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Stephanie.
Honored.
Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next Monday for the Monday morning message.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
You.
You all stay blessed.
You too.